Hello everyone, Mudjub Jr. here, and with the brand new division changes, I can imagine there is a lot of misinformation or little information known about certain aspects of the game right now. But I know for me, I'm very curious of how the new expeditionary changes work in World War II. In particular, I aim to cover how exactly does the new munitions resupply work, if improved tacticals are any good, and how much extra damage does Expeditionary do against buildables in war? And jumping right into the most mysterious change, since there is a lot to cover in this video, is what exactly does the new resupply do for you? As you may recall from before the update, this skill used to only explicitly state that you recover equipment from enemies. But now after the update, the game now describes this as recovering munitions. Now, if you ever gave Expeditionary a quick roll after this update, you'll quickly learn that this now means you can recover both equipment and bullets from this skill. But however, to note, this does not include launchers or special ammo like incendiary shells or the new rifle grenades. But this brings me to the next very noticeable change on this skill, which is allowing you to resupply over time. After much testing of this, I found that from the moment you respawn, you will resupply 1 meg of ammo into your reserve every 30 seconds, regardless of your weapon type. So what I mean by this is that if you're using an LMG with extended mags, you'll get the 100 or so bullets back from the single resupply period. But if you're using something like the STG, you only get the 30 bullets back per resupply. Meanwhile, for equipment, you'll get 1 equipment back every 1 minute from the moment. But however, one last thing to know here is that even if you're at full equipment or ammo, the resupply counter will still continue. So this basically means is that you can actually miss the resupply period if you're full, and you'll have to wait for the next 30 seconds or 1 minute for each respective category. But now for the improved tacticals. From what I've tested, the Division Update patch notes actually really cover this really well and is pretty much self-explanatory without any surprises from what I've tested. So that you can have a reference to this, I'll include a screenshot of it in the description below so that you can see for yourself. But as a summary, they basically slightly nerfed all the tacticals from what they were before the patch. But then the Expeditionary Division more or less serves to restore them back to what they were pre-nerf. But now I suppose they did these nerfs to prevent a crazy amount of tactical spam. But now, unless if you're using Expeditionary, all equipment except for smoke and maybe stun grenades are basically kind of useless now. But a special shout out goes to the gas grenades that now do a whopping 5 damage unless you're using Expeditionary. So it's basically a crappy green smoke grenade now. Hopefully they'll do a rebalance in this area sometime in the near future to address some of this odd balancing. But now onto the boosted damage against buildables in war. I only really tested its effectiveness against walls rather than items like MG placements, since destroying those don't really play too much of a big deal in matches. But in fact, I didn't even know myself that you can actually destroy them, so I guess there's that. But anyways, for what really matters is how much extra damage does Expeditionary do to buildable walls. To put things bluntly, through testing it seems that all explosives will deal about twice the damage towards walls when you're using Expeditionary. But to be more particular though, without Expeditionary, both launchers will take 2 rockets or satchel charges, but then 4 sticky grenades if you choose to use those for some reason. I also didn't bother using frag grenades since it's a little bit odd just cooking it just the right amount to ensure a good hit. But besides that, you can expect it's rather cumbersome to get that many hits with explosives. So it's typically best to just run up there and plant the charge to destroy it that way. But now with Expeditionary Division, this reduces the number of explosives needed to destroy those walls in half. So now you'll only need 1 rocket from either launcher, or 1 satchel charge, or 2 stickies. This actually helps quite a bit more than I expected. especially when you use a bazooka, as it can easily destroy walls from far away really quickly, thanks to its straight flight path. So I actually feel that this is a really good buff that can actually switch up how you play in war. I actually really recommend trying it out with the bazooka to take full advantage of this perk. But now with the final perk, there really isn't any surprises here, since it's basically an extension of espionage where it just marks enemies with any kind of explosive or tactical damage, except for smoke since they don't deal any damage. But what is confusing here is that it only states that it applies to equipment, but it also works if you choose to use launchers. But it's not really too big of a deal that this works, since launchers aren't too hot against infantry at the moment, so you can probably just disregard it. But anyways, the effects of this perk last just as long as espionage does, at about 6 seconds from the moment you deal the damage. With that, I strongly recommend frequently using tacticals like a stun as a sort of recon grenade that you can use when you move up onto an area, as so far it proved to be extremely useful to me, as it seems that most people haven't caught wind of this. So when you toss in that stun grenade, they don't expect you to know exactly where they are when you approach, and so they'll just be easy targets for you. So with all these changes, the Expeditionary is extremely focused for utility use, where you must rely on using your equipment to excel. So with this being the case, I found that this class is best for the war game mode, where using equipment frequently like smoke is very helpful and beneficial to your team. However, you could roll with this division in objective game modes like Domination, where aiming for map control can be made much easier with items like S-Mine or Gas, but let alone being able to stay in the fight longer thanks to the new ammo resupply now integrated into this division. So if you ask me, I would say this division is in a pretty good spot right now and still remains my personal favorite, as I really enjoy being able to utilize equipment to give yourself an edge in battle. But if you enjoyed, feel free to like or share this video. Every little bit is much appreciated. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and until the next video.